Alright guys, welcome to the channel. In this video, I'm gonna go through my 10 tips for beginners at Call of Duty Warzone. If you're already an avid Warzone player, then you may stick around and you might learn a new tip, but other than that, this is mainly geared towards complete beginners. Now, the reason I'm making this video is because lately I've been joining a lot of matches with random players whenever my friends are offline, and I've been noticing a lot of poor gameplay decisions and playstyles from new or less experienced players who play in teams. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Tip number 1. Use the ping feature. It's okay to spam the ping feature. It provides your teammates with loot locations. It also shows positions you intend on moving to, and most importantly, it brings up enemies or enemy locations on the minimap for your teammates. I've noticed that a lot of team players don't use this simple feature. This will help with the situational awareness and overall better performance from your team. Tip number 2. Be a team player. This is a quick one. Share your looted cash with your team. If you have a lot of cash, drop some for your team so everyone has roughly the same amount. The reason for that is, if you go down, your team might have enough cash to get you back in. I've played with a lot of other players who hoard all their cash, then gets taken out, and the rest of the team don't have enough to get that player back in. Also, if you notice one of your teammates are missing armor plates, offer some of your spare plates if you have any. A balanced team is like a well-oiled machine. Tip number 3. Land together. Touching the ground together in a tight grouping during the first few seconds of gameplay is critical to the survival of you and your team. This is something I see so many new players get wrong. As weapon pickups are limited, the team can support each other by dominating the landing space they're in with the default pistol or whatever other weapon they can find in the immediate surrounding. With this simple move, you can outnumber any other enemy player who has landed away from the team and give them an early trip to the gulag. Tip number 4. Read the map. During certain points during gameplay, make sure you are secure, then quickly bring up the map and have a look at what's going on. Look at where buildings are located, look at the open ground areas where there's limited cover, observe the movement of the gas cloud, and try imagine where other players will be rotating to. This is a good tip because it allows you to plan ahead and create good positionings. This tip can be used by more advanced players and can get way more in depth, but for beginners, don't leave it too late because, for instance, if you have to cover long distances of open ground on foot because you're forced to by the storm, try and move early so you can give yourself some breathing room. Tip number 5. Wear a pair of headphones and use a mic. This is by far, I think, the biggest tip, in my opinion, that any new player should adopt. Good situational awareness comes not only from good visuals, but also from directional sounds. With that, you can pinpoint nearby enemy locations from the sound of their footsteps, or even hear them when they're reloading their weapons or fitting armor plates. Adding on to that, you get to communicate verbally with your teammates. Now, I own a pair of Tiltbit Elite 800s, which has a preset mode called Footstep Focused that amplifies part of the game's audio in a way where enemy footsteps are louder than other sounds. With that, I can hear footsteps much louder and from further away. I admit this headset is a little on the pricey side, but there are a lot of cheaper alternatives out there that will do just fine. I've come across so many new players that overlook this. Tip number 6. Try Plunder for practice. Now, I'm aware the title says 10 beginner tips for Warzone, but with this tip, you can actually gain a lot as a new player from jumping into Plunder mode. As with all Battle Royale games, your skills mostly increase from encounters with enemy players, and with Plunder's respawn feature, you can relax some and just use it as a training ground. I myself use Plunder for practicing my sniping. So with that said, if Warzone is a bit too intense for you, then practice in Plunder. Tip number 7. Avoid brightly colored operator skins. With every new season of Warzone comes a wave of new operator skins to help keep your favorite operators looking fresh. However, in my opinion, some of these skins are best suited for multiplayer mode rather than Warzone. There's a reason why most of the pros prefer using much darker or camouflage type skins during competitive gameplay. Although these skins look really good, they do increase your visibility to other enemy players, especially when moving across open areas or among foliage. Tip number 8. Learn to do proper callouts. This tip assumes you use a mic, of course. Callouts are basically you briefly passing on vital information to your teammates, like the location of a sniper that's scoping your team out, or a nearby enemy that just took a few shots at you whilst you're moving on the map. Now, I have a military background, and good callout skills are really emphasized in military training, and can be applied to Warzone gameplay. It does take some practice, but if done correctly, you can let your whole team know of an enemy location in just a few words. For example, my friends and I normally land at TV station, and we have quick shot names for all the buildings around the area. So, If I spot enemies, for instance, on the top of the red roof building at the gas station, I would shout out, 2 enemies on top big red. The general order of a proper callout is, how many, where are they, followed by how far away. This tip limits useless chatter over the mic, allowing teammates to listen out for what's going on in the game. I could make a whole video on this because it can get a lot more in depth. So let me know down in the comment section if you would like to see something like that. However, to keep it simple, use the compass system in the HUD to give a general direction and pick a feature on the map nearest to where the enemy player was spotted. Tip number 9. Avoid bunching up. Sometimes the right move is to get into a building or confined space with your team, only to have the whole team taken out by explosives or rockets coming in through the window. When occupying an area, whether it's inside a building or out in the open, try to avoid bunching up in groups. Instead, spread out and cover different entry points where necessary. And lastly, tip number 10. Stick sensitivity. The default stick sensitivity, in my opinion, is too low. Now, I know a lot of players will argue this, but from my experience, having a high stick sense allows you to react much quicker when encountering enemies. The time to kill in Warzone is really quick. Quicker stick response means you can use those vital seconds to turn around and suppress incoming fire, or in some cases, even take down your attacker if you're accurate enough. I would recommend gradually increasing the sensitivity by small increments until you are comfortable with the changes. Also, if you have access to multiplayer mode, use small maps like Shipment to practice with higher stick rates. This has been my 10 tips for beginner Warzone players. There are a lot more of these that I can put together here on the channel. If you enjoy this sort of content, hit the like button and let me know what you think down in the comments. Also, please show your support for the channel by subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you can be informed when new videos are uploaded. And I will see you in the next one.
He's running. He's behind the fence.
There, I got movement.
He's right there. Left, right to the mark. Right to the mark.
I got movement.
He's running. He's running.